Conspiracy against human rights. Priests and judges put their interest about everything, including the Constitution and the Bible. Today, we are faced with a shocking historical revelation that snakes the foundation of the legal and religious order. Recent events have uncovered a heinous conspiracy involving high-ranking spiritual leaders and representatives of the judicial system, priests and judges who have been involved in an unrestrained conspiracy to destroy the very foundation of human rights. They have subordinated themselves to their selfish desire and consider themselves above the law, callously disregarding the Constitution and even the sacred commandments written in the Holy Bible. The whole world must know the faces of these anti-heroes. So, what happens? In Russia, in Chelyabinsk on July 6th and 14th, two court hearings were held against a person named Marina who was distributing brochures and newspapers about the International Project Creative Society in her own store. For those who don't know what Creative Society is, an international project that unites millions of people from more than 180 countries on a volunteer basis, regardless of their beliefs, social status, or financial standing. Let's go back to how it all started. On May 4, 2023, an elderly woman came to Marine's store, took those brochures, read them at home, and was outraged by their content. She called the police to deal with the matter. In the evening, as Marina was closing her store, a police officer approached her in a car and asked about the brochure she was distributing. Marina brought him the brochure from the store. The officer took her explanation and left. On the same evening of May 4th, at the police station, in the presence of two witnesses, the elderly woman's brochures about Creative Society were seized as evidence. Then the police actively gathered materials for the case. On June 27, the district police chief, Lieutenant Colonel Asadulin, personally called Marina and invited her to the police station without explaining the reasons. After an hour-long conversation, he printed a document and asked her to sign it. It turned out to be an explanation of the person against whom administrative processing are initiated. The information in this explanation was twisted, and the answers were taken out of context. Marina felt uneasy about it, but since they were her answers, she decided to sign it. After the document was signed, Asadin informed her that this explanation might be forwarded to court. On the next day, June 28, the police chief called Marina again and invited her to the police station. She said she couldn't come because she was at work. Then the police chief Asadulin and constable named Paderina came to Marina's store. They handed her a protocol on administrative misconduct for her to sign. They behaved provocatively, speaking loudly. When Marina read it and saw that most of her words were distorted, she refused to sign, written only "disagree" in the explanation line. She is accused of engaging in missionary activities and distributing religious materials. Furthermore, they claimed in the accusation that Creative Society and Allatra were the same and that Allatra is a sect. This is a very serious accusation as it affects all participants of the Creative Society project. The world must know the truth. This abuse of power must be stopped. During the first court session, witnesses from the procession side spoke. Deputy head of the Department of the Center for Combating Extremism of the Ministry of International Affairs of Russia in the Chelyabinsk region, Sergei Manturov, and the head of the missionary department of the Chelyabinsk eparchy of the Russian Orthodox Church Konstantin Putnik. The most alarming aspect was that the lawyers was not allowed into the courtroom immediately. They even disagreed the notarial power of attorney from the accused. The judge responded that his papers were not of interest. The elderly woman did not attend the trial due to poor health, and they, Marina and lawyer, suggested postponing the trial, but the judge rejected it, citing his upcoming vacation. As evidence in court, they presented articles from journalists who smeared the international project Creative Society. Putnik emotionally claimed that Creative Society is a destructive sect from Ukraine that harms Russia. But here is an interesting note. These same articles were translated into Ukrainian, but this time adjusted to portray Creative Society as harmful to Ukraine from Russia. We will talk about this in the next video. And all of these conclusions were supported by a paper signed by Shetinina. By the way, a little note, Shetinina and Putnik work in the same office. Putnik also made many disparaging remarks about all participants of Creative Society. The court decision was based on Putnik's and Marturov's opinions and the answer from the director of the autonomous non-profit organization Center for Culture and Religion Studies, Socio-Political Technology and Educational Programs, Elizaveta Shetinina. According to the court decision, the world judge believes the following arguments of Marina's lawyer to be unsubstantiated. That Shetinina's response is not an expert opinion. Yes, it's not an expert opinion, but it's considered one of the types of evidence. That Marina is not a member of a religious organization, as it contradicts her explanation that she is a volunteer of the International Project Creative Society. The world judge is critical of the scientific and legal conclusion from the Institute of Judicial Expertise and Criminalism in the Moscow and cannot accept it as evidence because, first, it was conducted in relation to and at the request of the ALLATRA International Social Movement. Second, it was conducted by candidate of the legal scientist Kuznetsov, who has no knowledge or experience in the field of religion studies, which raises doubts about the objectivity of this conclusion. To add to this situation, the court final decision was: the court session established that Creative Society is a new religious movement with characteristic of a syncretic cult. For many years, they secretly and systematically violated people's rights and freedoms, aiming to hold power without caring about the consequences for society. It's time to end all this nonsense and return rights to humanity.